We're going to delve deep into 7 behaviors that drastically altered my life in only 1 week. Yeah, you heard that right. 1 week. I know it sounds almost too wonderful to be true, yet I guarantee you, they aren't simply your run-of-the-mill suggestions that you hear everywhere. They are true, raw and honest practices that I individually incorporated into my everyday routine. I went through the hardships, the breakthroughs and the victories, and the shift I experienced was nothing short of a great. I can't wait to share them with you, because they have had such a tremendous influence on my life, and I feel they can do the same for you. If you're wanting to increase your productivity, enhance your mental well-being, or simply make a great difference in your daily life. These practices may assist you get there, so get a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's dive right in. Trust me, you'll want to remain around till the end. Since these behaviors aren't merely theoretical, they are specific, tangible measures that you may start implementing today. Plus, I'll be sharing some personal tales and insights from my personal journey, offering you a direct and honest look at how these habits worked for me. So without further ado, let's get started. Habit 1: waking up early. The first behavior that transformed my life was waking up early. Now let me be entirely honest with you. I was never a morning person. My bed was my dearest buddy, and I used to punch the snooze button more times than I can count. Mornings were a frantic rush, and I frequently felt like I was started my day on the wrong foot. Yet I decided to try getting up early a shot, and let me tell you, it was a game changer. I began by setting my alarm at 5 a.m. The first 4 days were awful. I recall getting myself out of bed, felt sluggish, and wondering whether this was really worth it. But I pushed through, and by the 3rd day something spectacular started to happen. I learned to enjoy the calm and stillness of the early hours. There was something virtually amazing about getting up before the rest of the globe, when everything was quiet. With these additional hours in the morning, I found time for things I never seemed to have time for before. I began my day with a touch of brightness workout, nothing too strenuous, just some stretching or a brief jog around the neighborhood. This not only awakened me up, but also fueled me for the remainder of the day. I also spent some time meditating and establishing my intentions for the day. These few seconds of attention made a significant change in my general mentality and productivity. Another surprise benefit of getting up early was that I no longer felt hurried. I had plenty time to enjoy a healthy breakfast, drink my coffee slowly, and plan out my day. This unrushed start set a great tone for the whole day. I was more organized, less stressed, and felt a feeling of control over my moment. One unique experience that sticks out was the morning I saw the dawn from my balcony. It was a simple but tremendously lovely moment as the sky changed hues and the earth slowly woke up. I felt a tremendous feeling of appreciation and tranquility. It was at that moment when I genuinely knew the power of waking up early today. Getting up early could not be for everyone, but I urge you to give it a try. Even if it's only for just a week, begins with simply 15 minutes sooner than your regular waking time and gradually increase it. You can be shocked at how much of a positive influence it can have on your life. It's not merely about having extra hours in the day, but about spending those hours to produce a more aware, deliberate, and rewarding start of your day. Habit 2. Daily exercise. Speaking about exercises, everyday exercise was habit number 2 that genuinely altered my life. Now, let me be forward. I wasn't always the most active individual. I used to find every excuse in the book to avoid working out. I'm too fatigued. I don't have time, or I'll start tomorrow. Sound familiar? But one day I thought this was enough. I created a resolve to exercise my body every single day for a week, and the findings were fantastic. I began tiny, only 20 minutes a day, changing it up between yoga, running, and strength training. I wanted to make things interesting so that I wouldn't become bored, and stop halfway through. The first 2 days were rough. My muscles were painful and I felt fatigued, but I reminded myself why I was doing this: to feel better, both physically and psychologically. By the fourth day, something remarkable occurred. I woke up feeling more invigorated. My mood had improved substantially. I was less irritated and more upbeat. I learned that those 20 minutes of exercise were not simply around burning calories or developing muscle. They were about giving me time to concentrate on me, to relieve tension, and to increase my endorphins. One morning, I recall lacing up my shoes for a jog. It was a sharp, clear day, and while I jogged, I had a feeling of freedom and clarity that I hadn't experienced in a long time. It was simply enjoying the broad road and my thoughts. That feeling of connectedness to myself and the everything around me was genuinely empowering. I also began to see physical changes. My posture improved. I felt stronger, and I saw a change in my overall fitness. Yet the largest change was in my mentality. Exercise became my time to unplug from the world and reconnect with myself. It became a form of self-care rather than a task. Another personal highlight was trying yoga for the first time. I was cautious at first, believing I wasn't flexible enough or thought it wouldn't be a serious exercise, but after a few sessions, I fell in love with it. Yoga taught me to be present, to breathe deeply, and to listen to my body. It was a transforming event that extended beyond the physical advantages. Adding everyday exercise into my regimen helped me understand that taking care of my body significantly influenced my mind health and overall happiness. It's not about being flawless or pushing oneself to extremes. It's about finding a type of movement that you like and making it a regular part of your life. So if you're like I was and trying to get started, my suggestion is to start small. Discover something you like. Whether it's dancing, trekking, or simply just a quick stroll, commit to just a few minutes a day and progressively increase up from there. Believe me, the advantages you'll experience will be well worth the effort. It's a habit that has the capacity to transform not only your physique, but your complete view on life. Habit 3, journaling habit. Number 3 is journaling. Now, I used to think journaling was primarily for individuals who had plenty of spare time, or were naturally. Initially, I was dubious. I mean, who having time to sit down and write about their day when there's so much going on? Just 1 week of continuous writing absolutely transformed my outlook, and it became a cornerstone of my personal growing path. I began basic every night before bed. I devoted only 10 minutes to writing. I purchased a basic notepad and a pen that felt comfortable in my palm. No fancy applications, no pressure to make it appear lovely, just me and my ideas. The first night I glanced at the blank page, uncertain of what to write. But then I started with something fundamental: how my day went, what made me happy, and what I grappled with. As the days went by, I began to delve further. I wrote about my goals, my worries, my aspirations, and even my insecurities. It was like having a chat with myself, and that's when the magic occurred. I started to notice patterns in my thoughts and actions. I discovered that some of the things I cared about were utterly out of my control, while others were situations where I could take practical measures. One night, I recall writing about a particularly hard day at work. By putting my ideas on paper, I was able to process my feelings better. I wrote about what this scared me out, how it made me feel, and what I might do better next time. This simple act of introspection helped me develop clarity and feel more in control of my emotions. Another strong element of journaling was monitoring my development. I noted down little triumphs and milestones, no matter how modest they. When thinking back at these entries supplied me with a feeling of achievement that inspired me to keep going ahead. For instance, I wrote about a presentation I was apprehensive about and how I prepared for it, recognizing my preparedness procedure, and the good result document mentioned in my diary was really encouraging. I also began a thankfulness portion in my notebook every day. I wrote down 3 things. I was thankful for this practice, transformed my emphasis from what was missing in my life to appreciate what I already had. It was a modest but substantial adjustment that injected more optimism into my everyday life. One particularly unforgettable entry was about a random act of kindness I experienced as a stranger assisted me while I was battling with my grocery bags. Writing about this act of compassion not only made me feel appreciative, but also encouraged me to give it forward via writing. I found a lot about myself, my desires, my fears, my strengths. Considering my flaws, it became a type of therapy, a method to disentangle the complicated web of ideas and feelings that we all carry about. It gave a protected area place. I could be entirely honest with myself without fear of condemnation. If you've never tried journaling, I highly urge you to start. Don't worry about writing correctly or having significant ideas. Simply write whatever comes to mind. It may be a torrent of consciousness, a review of your day, or reflections on a single incident. Provide yourself the freedom to express whatever you're feeling. You could be astonished at how much clarity and calm it provides. Entering your life, realize it's not about what you write, it's about the process of writing itself. Habit for mindful eating. Next step, mindful eating. This was a major one for me since, like many folks, I used to eat on the move, scarcely paying attention to what or how much I was eating. My meals were typically hasty and distracted, affairs eaten while scrolling via my phone or working on my laptop. I didn't understand how much this was impacting my entire well-being, till I decided to give mindful eating a try for 1 week. Mindful eating is all about devoting complete attention to the experience of eating and drinking, both inside and outside the body. It's about relishing each mouthful, noting the tastes, textures, and even the noises of your meal. So I made a commitment to eat all my meals mindfully. I began by establishing the scenario for my supper. I cleaned my dining table, made a beautiful area for myself, and removed any distractions. No phone, no TV, no laptop. It seemed a little weird at first to sit peacefully with my food, yet it rapidly became a relaxing routine. I started each meal with a few deep breaths to center myself and bring my concentration to the present time. One of the first things I noticed was how much more I liked my cuisine. I took the time to truly taste and savor each bite. Foods I had eaten hundreds of times previously suddenly had fresh, lovely tastes and sensations that I had never truly noted. For example, the crunch of fresh veggies and the sweetness of ripe fruit become significantly more pronounced. It was like tasting food in high definition. Another big modification was how lot more fulfilled I felt after eating, by eating slowly and deliberately. I gave my body time to signal when it was full. This was a significant adjustment for me, since I used to eat rapidly and frequently ended up overeating by paying attention to my hunger and fullness signals. I noticed that I naturally ate less and felt more satisfied. One remarkable incident was just a simple cup of oats. Generally, I would wolf it down without a second thinking, but this time I took it slow, relishing the creamy smoothness of the delicate sweetness of the honey I sprinkled on top. It became a moment of thanksgiving and awareness that establish a pleasant tone. During the remainder of my day, I also began to note how various cuisines made me feel heavy. Processed meals left me feeling slow and bloated, while fresh whole foods made me feel invigorated and light. This insight helped me to make healthier decisions naturally without feeling deprived or restricted. Another component of mindful eating is being aware of the emotional connections we have with food. I began to realize while I was eating out of boredom, worry, or emotional comfort, rather than real hunger. This realization was intense instead of aimlessly munching. I could address the root feeling. Maybe I needed a break, some relaxation, or a talk with a buddy rather than a bag of chips. There was one specific occasion when I felt a yearning for something sweet after meal instead of automatically reaching for dessert. I halted and wondered myself whether I was actually hungry or simply seeking a prize after a hard day. I discovered I wasn't genuinely hungry and opted for a warm cup of herbal tea. Instead, it was a minor triumph that emphasized how powerful mindful eating may be. Adding mindful eating into my life was a transforming experience. Yes, it helped me establish a healthy interaction with food, enhanced my digestion, and even increased my overall feeling of well-being. It's a habit that I've continued beyond the first week, and I can't suggest it enough. If you're interested in trying, mindful eating begins with simply one meal a day. Sit down without distractions. Take a few deep breaths and savor each mouthful. Pay attention to the tastes, textures, and how the meal makes you feel. You may be astonished at how this easy practice may affect your overall eating experience. It's a nice method to reconnect with your body and genuinely enjoy the nutrition that food offers. Habit 5. Limiting screen time. Habit number 5 is limiting screen time. This one was especially tough for me, and I imagine it could be for many of you as, we live in a digital age, and it's very simple to be trapped into infinite hours of surfing through social media, binge-watching programs, or reading emails. But I understood that all this screen time was putting a toll on my mental health, my productivity, and even my sleep. So I decided to establish some limits and see what occurred. First, I set a daily limit of 1 hour for non-work-rated screen time. This meant no mindless skimming through Instagram, no endless YouTube marathons, and no late-night TV binges. It was challenging at first. I had gotten so used to filling every free minute with screen time, yet I knew I needed to make a modification. The first thing I realized was how much more time I had in my day. I didn't know how much of my time was getting sucked up by screens until I intentionally confined it with those additional hours. I found myself rediscovering old interests and hobbies that I had ignored. I grabbed a book I had been intending to read, began doodling and sketching again, and even tried my hand at cooking new recipes one evening. Instead of watching TV after supper, I decided to take a stroll in the park. The fresh air, the sounds of nature, and the simple act of moving my body felt immensely rejuvenating. It was a sharp contrast to the normal screen-induced drowsiness. I felt the stroll became a valued aspect of my everyday routine, something I looked forward to and appreciated wonderfully. Another notable difference was in my sleep quality. I used to carry my phone to bed, surfing around social media or viewing films till I felt drowsy. But this practice typically left me feeling wired and restless, leading to poor sleep. By reducing screen time, particularly before bed, I found it much easier to wind down and fall asleep. I began a bedtime routine that didn't include screens, reading a physical book, meditating, or merely reflecting on my day. This change led to deeper, more restful sleep and made a tremendous improvement in my overall energy levels. I also saw improvements in my mental health without the continual onslaught of news updates, social media comparisons, and digital distraction. I felt less worried and more present. I was more attentive during chats, more attentive to the people around me, and more involved in my regular activities. It seemed like a cloud had cleared, letting me to see and feel life more clearly. One especially memorable day was when I spent a full day visiting a local cafe with only a notepad and a pen. I put down my ideas, set some objective. I even drew a bit. It was such a quiet and productive time free from digital disruptions. I felt more linked to myself and my environment in a manner that screens had never permitted. Of course, there were times of temptation and mistakes along the road. But each time I saw myself reaching for my phone out of habit, I gently reminded myself of the advantages I was experiencing and turned my concentration to something more gratifying. Restricting screen time is not about entirely eradicating technology from your life. It's about developing a healthier balance and being more purposeful with your time. If you're feeling overwhelmed or alienated, I suggest you to try setting some screen time bounds. Start small, maybe with an hour less each day, and progressively boost it. Utilize that additional time to reconnect with yourself, your loved ones, and the world around you. You may be amazed at how much richer and more rewarding life may be when you move away from the displays and interact more with the actual world. All okay. Everyone, that sums up our adventure. Explore the 7 behaviors that completely transformed my life in only 1 week. It's been a great experience, not merely practicing these practices, but also sharing them with you. Each of these behaviors has the potential to generate substantial, favorable improvements in your life. And I honestly feel that if they may work for me, they can work for anybody. If you've been influenced by any of these practices, I invite you to attempt them out for yourself. Start simple, maybe with 1 behavior, and see how it feels. Adjust according to what fits your lifestyle. And must remember, the aim isn't perfection, it's development. It's about creating minor, doable modifications that accumulate into considerable transformations throughout time. I'd want to learn about your experiences. So please write a comment below, sharing which habit you're thinking about adopting or any questions you may have about beginning. Your comments and experiences are what make this community so great and supportive. And if you found this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming material. We have tons more thoughts and advice coming your way that you won't want to miss. Sharing this video with friends or family who may advantages from these practices may also make a tremendous impact in their life. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, modest changes lead to big outcomes. Let's keep growing, keep developing, can make our ordinary routines into powerful moments of self-improvement. See you in the next video. Stay amazing, everyone.